Zatkowski, and welcome to another episode of Homeland Improvements. You know, it's been 4 years we've been doing these shows. My lectures and seminars at home shows have been going on for 4 years. I started 4 years ago talking about mosquitoes. People looked at me like I was from Mars. I was telling people mosquitoes were going to kill people with this West Nile virus. It's really bad. I mean, we've already had our first person pass away from getting bit by a mosquito here in Illinois this year, this summer. But we have about 45, 50 cases already. And it's bad that somebody passes away, but some of the people in the past years that have gotten bit by a mosquito actually got paralyzed. But they're actually losing brain function and all kinds of other things. So if you don't think it's serious, you're mistaken, because today here in Illinois we've got a lot of cases going on. I've been tracking the news with what's going on, and we've got a person in St. Charles, we had a person in Crete way out south, we had a girl in Rosemont that was hospitalized by being bit by a mosquito. So let me give you some tips that I've been giving out for 4 years, and people thought I was silly for even talking about this. Number one, if you're going to be going out and being outside, if the kids are going out, if you're going out and you're going to be outdoors, you're going to go on a picnic or go to the beach or whatever, or even just hang around the parks, what I want you to do is take the clothes that you're going to be wearing that day. I want you to get fabric softener sheets. Now I want you to take about 5 of these, 6 of them. I want you to put them in the dryer, and I want you to put all your clothes in that dryer for 10 minutes. Yes, the clothes are dry and they're put away right now. I want you to put them in the dryer for 10 minutes and turn the dryer on for 10 minutes. Mosquitoes hate the smell of fabric softener. So if your clothes have that scent on them, mosquitoes will hopefully stay away from you. But you know what? This is really getting serious right now. I'm going to tell you the one trick that I've been talking about for the last 4 years, and that is any kind of liquid soap. Liquid dishwashing soap works the best. People ask me if they could use a laundry detergent. Laundry detergents are fine if you don't have liquid dishwashing soap, but I'd rather go with this because it's a lot better. There's a lot of different things in here. It's biodegradable, number one. You wash your dishes with it. It doesn't leave anything, a residue or anything like that. But it's also an antibacterial soap. A lot of your dishwashing soaps have antibacterial stuff in them, so it kills bacteria. What I want you to do is take a Miracle-Gro feeder. You can purchase these. They're inexpensive. They're less than $10 in the average home store or your Ace Hardware. I want you to pour about an inch into this. You know, we just came up about where the the slogan here is. So I want you to put about an inch in there. Then I want you to go into any kind of fabric softener. And again, put about an inch in there. Again, they hate the smell of fabric softener. Now I'm going to tell you something. This, number one, is not going to hurt anything. You can take this now, hook it to your hose, and go out and spray your property, your backyard, your front yard, your patio, your courtyard, whatever you want, and go out and enjoy yourself. You know, you're not going to keep the kids inside the house. They want to go out and play. So if you want to prevent them from getting bit by a mosquito, you know, something that you can do. Let me explain a little about what it does. Number one, the dishwashing soap will actually, they'll drink the water. When you hook this to the Miracle-Gro feeder to the hose and spray the area, you're putting so much water out there that the soap and the fabric softener is very minute. I mean, it won't hurt anything. It won't hurt anything out there. But when any kind of bug will drink the water, because that's what they'll do, they'll drink the water. they'll get diarrhea and they die. So you're going to get rid of the mosquitoes. The soap makes them get diarrhea, the fabric softener, they can't stand the smell of, so they'll stay away. Now, at some of the seminars, people have asked me, well, now I don't have to use any of those other things, the citronella candles or the DEEK or the I still want you to go out and do all the things you did in the past. All I'm giving you here now is a cheap insurance policy. This is very serious. We need to do this. You know, it's all around us. So everywhere we're at, this is happening. People are dying from getting bit by a mosquito. The tips in today's show are all going to deal with outside, with doing things around your home, getting rid of those pesky mosquitoes. This formula will save you a lot of money. It's a cleaning formula that you can use to clean a lot of things. We're going to clean a few things in the next few segments. We're going to start off with a fence, okay? I've seen so many of you out there painting a fence or even staining a dirty fence. Don't ever paint or stain over dirt. You know what we're going to get into today? First off, how to clean it. Then we're going to give you some really great tips on how to maintain a fence and keep it going really well. You need one of these. These are, when I was growing up, they used to call these Hudson sprayers. What you do is you fill them up and then you go out and spray. We already have our water in here. Now, to clean a fence, to clean pavers, sidewalks, stuff like that, don't get into anything that's painted that you're not going to be refinishing. But I find one of the best cleaners out there is good old Clorox bleach. I'm going to take and pour about 2 cups in here into our spray unit, the pump sprayer or Hudson sprayer. That's about 2 cups. I'm a pretty good mixologist, I think. And now I'm going to take dishwashing soap. And I'm going to put about 10 ounces of dishwashing soap in here also. We already have our water in there, so we're filled up with water, our dishwashing soap, and our Clorox bleach. You know, Clorox bleach has been around for a long time, and it really, I've used it in a lot of different things. If you look at some of the chemicals out there today that they're selling in the stores that are super toxic and everything else, they've got chlorine in them. So I really like Clorox bleach because it is a great cleaner. It also disinfects, kills bacteria, mold, mildew, and stuff like that. So we filled up our Hudson sprayer. We take and we pump it up now. And we're ready to rock and roll. Now the first segment of cleaning and doing around here today will be pre-treating the fence. And like I said earlier, I hope I never see another one of you out there staining or painting a dirty fence, because you're just wasting your money. You're putting paint or stain on a fence, on the wood, that's dirty. When it's dirty, the dirt is absorbing the paint or stain, not the fence. So it's not going to last. You're not even going to get half of the time out of your refinishing project, because it's going to peel, it's going to fall apart and all of that. You definitely want to use something like this, pre-treat it, and then go into pressure washing the fence. You know, let me tell you a little bit about this fence that we're doing right now. You see us pressure washing it and that. This fence was put up 25 years ago. You know, today we buy these, oh gosh, I don't want to say it, but they're cheap, they're inexpensive. These fences they have at the big box stores, they don't even last a few years. We're the windy city. All of a sudden the wind hits and the pickets are blowing off and everything else. So if you buy a quality fence and maintain it properly, you'll really have a great product. So this 24-year-old fence we're in process right now of refinishing. So we power washed the whole thing. It turned out really well using our pre-treatment of water, a couple of cups of bleach, and about 10 ounces of liquid dishwashing soap in this sprayer. We used that, power washed it really well, got everything off. It took about a half a day to get it all cleaned up. Now I want you to let it dry really well. Let it dry a few days until the color comes back, the natural color of the fence, because right now, right after you power wash it, it looks kind of dark. The wood is dark because it's full of water. By pressure washing it, we filled the fence up with water. Wood is like a sponge, especially this cedar. This was a cedar fence. It soaks in the water, so you want it to dry really well. Now we're going to get into some real interesting things for the show. We're going to get into talking a little bit about stain and paint for your fence. I'd like to thank, number one, Wagner Power Sprayers. We're going to be using that to spray the fence with. It's an airless system. One thing I have to mention, a lot of you out there figure, well, if it's airless, no problem. But if it's windy out, the wind, Mother Nature, will blow the paint around. So never paint on a windy day. You hear about these people that do that all the time, and the overspray goes all over their neighbors' cars and homes and everything, all over your windows, all over your home. So never paint on a windy day if you're using any kind of a spray system. Now, here's where I really want to emphasize about what you need to do with a fence. Number one, if you're out there going to put something on it, I suggest real highly, if you buy a quality fence in that, even if you buy an inexpensive fence and you're going to treat it, use a stain. Don't use a paint. Or if you're going to want to go with a solid color, because a lot of people, you know, it's yours. You pick the color. You got to live with it. So pick a color that you like. But don't buy a paint, even if it says, oh, paint designed for wood, because it is not what you want to put on there. We live in a very interesting climate. A stain will actually soak into the wood, and you could use a transparent stain or a solid stain, where your color will be a solid color, so it'll look like a paint. But I want you to stay with a stain because it'll suck into the paint, it'll actually absorb into the fence, and it'll last a lot longer. Flood has been around for a long time making stains and paints for outdoors. They're the only manufacturer that I know of right now that's giving a 15-year guarantee on their paint. So I'm telling you, this is something that works. That's one of the reasons I wanted it for this fence. I'm going to make this fence go another 10 or 15 years. So use a stain, don't use a paint. Let me tell you why you don't want to use that paint. Paint seals the surface. It's okay inside your house, on the walls or on the ceiling. You want to seal it. But outside, if you seal the fence, you seal the wood outside, it can't breathe. Condensation forms on those humid, hot days. So the wood gets wet inside. And what happens when wood gets wet? Even that treated wood, if it stays wet long enough, it's going to break down and rot away. So the best tip I can give you if you're doing that outside project is make sure you clean everything up really well. Use a power washer. Use our pre-treated formula that I have here, the 2 cups of Clorox bleach, a gallon of water, and 10 ounces of liquid dishwashing soap. Power wash everything down, let it dry, and then go into a quality stain, either a transparent or a solid color. You know, cleaning up the stone outside, you have like these homes with stone like you're seeing right now. What we're doing, we actually did go through and pre-treat the area with our sprayer, and we ended up hosing or getting the pressure washer and washing it down. Real important, you know, stone is so beautiful. This stone that you're seeing here now is just gorgeous, but it gets dirty after a number of years and it gets that dingy type of dungeon look. It's just not attractive at all. So periodically I like to take and clean the stone. Again, we use the cleaner to pre-treat it, and our cleaner is 2 cups of Clorox bleach, 10 ounces of liquid laundry detergent or dishwashing detergent, and a gallon of water. And it works really well. The pressure washer made this wall look really pretty. Now, a lot of you out there have these paver bricks, or as you're seeing here, we have common bricks on this staircase and the front porch of this house. What ended up happening, because common brick is very, very porous, it attracts moisture and the moisture stays there. It stays there for a long time until Mother Nature dries it out. But bricks will actually hold moisture, it'll hold dampness, it'll hold humidity. So what ends up happening is these bricks will end up starting to turn green. It looks like there's moss actually growing on it. And a number of you have emailed me. I love those emails. Let's get back to this brick thing though. Once we do this brick and we pre-treat it with our cleaner, let it sit for a little while, pressure wash it, you can see the bricks look like brand new. To prevent the bricks from getting that green effect again, or getting moisture and mildew living inside the bricks, let the bricks dry a couple of days, or at least a day in the sunlight, especially this summer, as hot as it's been, and then you can go over with a masonry sealer. They make them in a lot of the stores have them. You may even want to email me on the show. There's places that deal with masonry products. You don't want to use like those inexpensive waterproofers that they have in the stores. Those are really not designed to last a long time or do the trick that we need with the job we're seeing here. We even went as far as cleaning the sidewalk. The reason we got into that, as you're seeing on this sidewalk, we got these real heavy pits in there. A lot of you out there with the driveways, you put these concrete driveways in, they're beautiful. But all of a sudden, the top layer of your concrete starts to pop. They call it popping. It's due to a lot of reasons. Most of the time, it's due to the chemicals in the wintertime, you know, that we use to salt down roads and stuff like that. There is so much stuff in those chemicals, in those salts, that it's actually messing up your concrete. But here is a walkway, it's a sidewalk in front of a house, and it's popping really bad. To stop that, or to prevent it from getting any worse, what you do is you pre-treat, like we did with everything else so far in today's show, with our cleaner. I'm going to go over it one more time because I want you to remember what it is. It's a gallon of water in one of these Hudson sprayers, 2 cups of Clorox bleach, and 10 ounces of dish soap. Now, clean it really well, and you put this masonry sealer down like you're seeing me brush in right now. Masonry sealers will actually prevent those poppings from getting any worse. So you definitely want to use something like that. Now, we have a thing, we're going to do another show soon about a lot of caulking and how to preserve a lot of things around your home. Concrete has never been inexpensive to replace. And when it gets really bad out there, you have to replace it. Well, the joints, this concrete that we have had actually sunk. So a couple of years ago, we had they call it mud jacker come out. You drill a hole in the center of the concrete or in different strategic points of the concrete, and they pump this tool in there into the hole, and they actually pump it up with a sand cement type of solution, and you could level the concrete back up. But the expansion joints in this concrete, Or a lot of you have expansion joints in the sidewalk between your home and your sidewalk. There's like a joint in there. And if you don't have that sealed completely, you get water in your basement. Or like with these sidewalks, what happens is in the winter time, water gets in there. Snow melts during the day. Even though it's below zero outside, Mother Nature and sunlight will actually make the snow melt. Water will always go to the lowest point. So into those cracks goes the water. No problem. But tonight, when there's no sunlight out, Mother Nature kind of does a trick to you. And what she does is this. Water, when it freezes, it expands. And Mother Nature just loves to lift that concrete and break it and crack it up and everything else. So we're going to do a show down the road with MP1. It's a concrete caulk. Once you put this in, but you got to put it in properly, you'll never have to worry about that again. In fact, you can save your concrete from getting worse or water from getting into your basement. People with the driveways down the house, I've done so many of those where water was getting into the house because the concrete and the walkway or the sidewalk, whatever. MP1 works really great. But we're going to do a whole show around caulk, so stay tuned for that. I have received a number of emails on patio pavers and what do they call them, retention walls, you know, those big stones that you buy from the big box stores. These patio pavers, when they start to go, when they lose their color and all of that, people really, they're not attractive anymore. But there's a way to bring them back. And again, like what we covered in the last segment about stone and brick and sidewalks, these patio pavers, you need to service them periodically, especially when they're getting to look a little tacky. You know that moisture set in on them. They're turning actual green. You're seeing them right now where they were actually like a green color. Very, very unattractive. They're supposed to be red and black. So I talked to the lady that sent me the email. I emailed her back to call me. She called me and I talked her through it. Again, we're going to get back into a real simple segment here. You take one of these sprayers. We used to call them the Hudson sprayer, but it's a pump sprayer, applicator sprayer. You can get this in any of the big box stores or any of the Ace Hardwares. I want you to put a gallon of water in here. I want you to put 2 cups of Clorox bleach and 10 ounces of liquid dish soap. It's real important that you use liquid too. I don't like the powder soaps. The powder soaps just don't dissolve as good and they leave like a residue behind. So always use the liquid. Take it, pump it up, and you have to, when your pavers get as bad as the ones you're seeing in today's show, you have to really, really wet them down well, because you want the cleaner, the pre-treatment formula that I've told you to put together, you want that to actually take and soak in, because that green stuff you're seeing on these pavers is deep into the paver. If you just take a hose and hose it off, you're never going to get it to look right. So definitely soak it down real well. I would even let it sit for, I'd say an hour or so. Catch it before it starts to dry out. That's a good time. And you know what else? If you have a big area like we have on this house, what we ended up doing is we ended up doing section at a time, because it's just too hard to do a whole big area like this. So we did, a third, and another third. That makes 3/3. I think that's the whole pie, isn't it? So now we're going to get into that pressure washer. As you're seeing now, we're using the pressure washer, and you're seeing this stuff come out really, really clean. I mean, we're getting all of that dirt and filth and grime off, and that green stuff's going away. But I definitely want you to take that power washer and sweep it one way all the way through that same paver, and then I want you to come back and do one paver at a time, or do a square. Like I always tell people, do a square at a time. Do a 2 foot by 2 foot section and go this way but I want you to come back and go this way. The reason for that is cement, which these pavers are made of, is a very porous material, and a lot of times it has grooves in it, so you might not get everything out just going this way. You might miss some spots. The bad part about that is when it dries and you want to put the masonry sealer that we talked about on, you can't because you got those dirt spots in there. So make sure you clean it this way and this way. Or was it this way and that way? I don't remember, but I want you to go both ways. Real important. Let the pavers dry real well, and then get into brushing on the masonry sealer. Now I want you to go to a place that deals with masonry sealers. Don't buy this inexpensive, cheap stuff that's a waterproofer or whatever they want to call it. It's not going to work. It's not going to last a long time. The job that you're doing here today with these pavers, trying to get something to look nice, is not an easy job. It's going to take a lot of work. And when you do it that way, what I want you to do is make sure it lasts a long time. So by using a quality masonry sealer, you are going to have a product that's going to last a long time. If you'd like to advertise on the Chicago History and Automotive Heaven television and radio show, you can contact me at 312-841-2560. Email me at rautomd@gmail.com. Go to our website and check out all of our stuff. We have a sponsors page on there at richiez.com. That's www.richieze.com. If you have a business, product, or a service, we can put together a package that'll help benefit your business, product, or service. Or if you just like to donate, it's a pledge drive. You can donate to our show and keep us on the air. We're actually looking for sponsors to do a lot more shows like you've seen today. I'm Richie Z. Thank you for watching. We're going to do a few segments here on the things you use around your yard and the outside of your home. We have a Mantis tiller here. This is really important to get everything, your plant bed or your garden, ready before you start to plant. And even at the end of the season, when you pull everything out, a lot of times it's great at that time to throw some weed killer down to take care of those pesky weeds and till the soil again. It really, really helps. You aerate that soil and it gets it kind of ready for the next season. But you know what I want to really talk about? When you start needing spark plugs for these, I just had a friend of mine call me. They had a problem with, I think it was a lawnmower or it was a chainsaw. And what the problem was is it didn't run right. He pulled the plug. The plug was really dirty, really old. It was a number of years old. So he went to the store, not taking the plug with him. Just went to the store and pulled a plug in the garden section off of the board, brought it home, put it in. It would not work. It couldn't get it running. It's real important, especially with today's technology, to whenever you're changing something, you need to get the right plug, the spark plug that was in there. You need to put the same kind in there. Another big factor, these things run on gas and this 2-cycle oil. A lot of us out there, and I'm guilty as you are, will go out and we'll become mixologists. We just open the little gas tank and we pour our gas in, and then we take this 2-cycle oil and we just kind of mix it. We just pour it in. Please don't do that. You're going to shorten the life of your machine. You're not going to have as much power as you need to rototill something, a flower bed or a garden. You need to mix this to the exact design and measurement that they want you to mix it. If you change your spark plug with the right plug, mix the gas properly with the 2-cycle oil, you'll make this thing last forever, and you'll get through that project a lot better. Aeroflex Technology out of Rock Hill, South Carolina, supplied us with a real interesting product. Are you frustrated like me every time you go to cut your grass? I have purchased every blank thing on the market to try to make my job a little easier to edge my lawn, and I have never found anything that worked well. In fact, even last year I did something where I bought oh gosh, I forget that there was these metal things that would actually move back and forth as they're spinning around and everything, and those metal things just didn't work right. In fact, one of them actually sheared off last year, and it hit me, so I had kind of a bruise and a little bit of a cut from that. You know, you're going out to cut your lawn, you put on a pair of shorts, go out and cut your lawn. So I found this through one of the magazines. I do a lot of reading, I do a lot of research. If you think that I'm just doing products just to do products, you're wrong. We really researched this. Well, they came up with this system now, this Aeroflex technology, where you have these little polypropylene whips, is what I want to call them. I'm sure they have a technical name for them, but I'm going to call it a whip. And what they do is you take your head off completely, your old head, this old primitive thing. In fact, I even bought this one. I'm going to tell you something, where you're supposed to be able to tap it on the sidewalk or the walkway or whatever, and it's supposed to feed you more cord. We did everything humanly possible to try to do that after it went out of its roll of cord, and it never worked that way. So I must waste about probably 15 to 20 minutes every time I cut my lawn and do my trimming, because this always gets broken off and I have to take the bolt off, pull the stuff through. Well, we're eliminating all of this today. This is going. I'll see you later. Goodbye. It's gone. Now, we got this system from Aeroflex Technology, and they called me. They asked me, how did you like it? They made it sound over the phone like it was really gonna go on for a long time. You know, after cutting the lawn, I had to replace them one time, where I probably used to do it 15 times. But this is after one time. You could still use these, but they're real short. I like to go when they're a lot longer. But what you do, this system just works out really well. And you take it, it locks down, and then you just bolt it up, and it's all done, and it works great. You know what's nice about this also? You don't have to have the RPM you used to have. You used to have the RPM real high when you're edging. This works a lot better on low RPM. So your motor, your weed whacker isn't running on high. You're not burning as much gas. You're not putting as much carbon monoxide into the atmosphere. You know what? Every once in a while, you talk about America and people inventing things. You know, we're a country that just about invented everything. We have other people taking our products and copying them and making them cheaper, but we've invented everything. I tip my hat to a company like this that came up with a thing that's going to save me a lot of time and aggravation, because I'm fed up with changing those wires that I used to use when I was trimming my grass. We're going to deal with probably one of the most pesky things in your lawn. That is the crabgrass. Crabgrass is just awful inside your lawn. It really takes over, and it actually will grow and take over your lawn. For years I've been talking about a product, they call it a pre-immersion, and that is peroxide ammonia, iced tea, and baby shampoo. You mix that into a gallon container. In fact, for my property, I end up mixing a couple of gallons and putting it down to get rid of the pesky crabgrass. Well, I'm going to tell you something. For years, I've had a real bad problem with crabgrass. I did everything humanly possible to get rid of it, and it just kept coming back every year. Let me tell you how I finally did get rid of it. Number one, we use this pre-immersion, but you have to listen to what I'm going to tell you right now. You have to put it down. We're getting to the end of summer. You have to put it down after the first frost. I suggest sometime in November, because this crabgrass throws off a lot of seeds. I mean, this one little crabgrass right here in my hand will throw off thousands. That's right, folks, thousands of seeds. And it's a pretty heavy seed where it stays in your lawn. The pre-emergence will kill those seeds, but I still want you to go out and get those lawn formulas that you put down, you know, the major ones. You put a treatment down in the fall. Usually there's, say, about 3 or 4 treatments a year. It's a good idea to use that. But just like what we're talking about right now with this pre-emergent I'm talking about to kill crabgrass, you should put down those fertilizers and those weed killers after the first frost, around November, because it will work on killing the seeds from this little varmint here, this crabgrass. You know, I just about for like the last, I would say about the last 5-6 years, I had relatively no crabgrass in my lawn at all. But if your neighbor has a lot of it, and you have a windy season, you'll actually have the grass get seeds from your neighbor's yard. So put down the stuff after the first frost, and then your spring treatment of the pre-emergent that I'm talking about, plus your fertilizer. They don't tell you this on TV, they just tell you to use their product, but you should put it down before the lawn starts to thaw, before your grass starts to germinate. If you do this, if there's any seeds in that lawn from a pre-emerge from the pre-season, you will kill those seeds before it starts. This spring, I was very busy with home shows. We were doing a lot of home shows and stuff, and I kind of put my pre-emergent and my fertilizer down a little late, and that's why I'm seeing probably like a half a dozen patches. Well, I brought it all out to show you. You know what? You're not the only one out there with crabgrass. Even I get it and have it. But we're going to get rid of this by doing those simple tips we just talked about. A lot of you out there have a problem with that seepage, where you have a little bit of water, just enough to make a little bit of a mess, or have a little problem somewhere in your basements. 99% of the time when you have a minor seepage problem around your home, you have a problem with gutters. Gutters are really, really a big factor of a seepage problem in the home. Number one problem most people have is the gutters will end up getting clogged up. If you're going to be doing any changing of gutters or anything like that, I suggest going with the bigger downflow pipes, the tubes that take the water away. I suggest in getting the bigger ones. They shouldn't even make the small ones anymore, because those things don't work right at all. And now there's a company, you can buy this, I think Menards carries this one. You can buy this where you can attach it to your gutter and you can actually slide it out. So what you're going to do is have this gutter about 6-7 feet away from the house. But let me tell you another little trick about gutters. I don't know where this ever started, but the last few years when we've had those heavy snowfalls, we had that ice damming up on the roof of the homes. 99% of the time, there was an issue with the whole flow tube coming off of your roof down and down those joints and everything else, freezing up completely. I actually have seen homes where there's a seam in the back of the gutter. Sometimes they mounted this in the front of the gutter. That seam is actually popped. So if you go out there right now and look at your gutter and that seam is popped, that's a sign that that gutter froze. So you have a water issue. Now, every gutter that I see is actually down on the ground. So when in the wintertime, when ice forms and it flows down into here, this all freezes up. I suggest cutting the gutter about 18 inches high, 16 to 18 inches high. Cut the tube higher so that you have a water flow. Mother Nature and water flows to the lowest point. So if you have it down here, it's going to freeze this whole thing, freeze all the way up your tube. You're going to have ice damming on your roof. You're going to have leaks in your house. And this all could be prevented if you just simply cut your tube a little higher, about 16 inches high, install one of these adjust-a-spout, they call it. The reason they call this an adjust-a-spout is because you could turn it 360 degrees. If I didn't have my sign in the way, I could turn it 360 degrees. But you can see, what's nice, you can also put it away when you're not using it, flip it up. Or you could just put it against the building or whatever. So this works really well. A lot of you out there might even have tubes coming out and everything. I suggest getting one of these. Get it away from the house. If you have the water away from the house, and you want to be at least 6 to 8 feet away from the house if you can, water will run off and you'll take care of that seepage problem. You know, another thing I want to get into, gosh, they're coming out with these new things for gutters now where it stops the leaves from going into it and all of that. I forgot the name of them. Some of them are pretty cool. Some of them don't work really well at all. In fact, what's happening, so if you had those put in your house and you go up on a ladder in the summertime, be very careful. Watch to see if there's bees around there. What's happening now is bees are going in there and they're nesting inside those gutters. So there's products like this out, and I like this one here. It's got a number of holes, you know, hundreds of holes in it, but it also has a screen there. Because if you live around a house like I have, we have the helicopters, and the helicopters actually clog these. You've seen it happening. So get that water to flow away from the house. If you're changing gutters, go with the bigger tubes. Adjust-a-spout I use a lot. It really works. It will solve a lot of your problems around your home. Now let me get into a question I am asked a lot at home shows. And that is, Rich, what can I do when in the corners of my home where the gutters meet, where they join? Let's see, I don't have the joining piece right here right now, but you know what I'm talking about, the corner where these two gutters are put together. It leaks, it drips in that corner. What can I do with it? Well, everybody I talk to, I ask the same question. Have you been up there trying to seal it? And everybody says yes. And I've heard some creative items that was used to seal the gutter. Nothing, and I mean nothing, works. People think when silicone came out, it was the salvation of the world. You know, we can glue anything together. It'll work. It'll stick everything. Silicone does not work well on metal. Not a good thing to use. I've heard people using tar, paint, all kinds of different caulkings. They're not going to work. When you're in your home store, you look for a seam sealer. It's a gutter sealer. It's designed for aluminum. It's just like liquid aluminum. But the problem you have right now out there, if you did seal your gutter with any kind of things that I just talked about, you're not going to be able to go over with this aluminum sealer. What you need to do is scrape it all out. Preferably on a hot day, you know, get up there on the ladder and scrape that corner completely clean. If you use tar or something up there like that, you can go in with like a mineral spirits or a bug and tar remover. And I suggest here, I'll give you some really great tips if you're going to be doing this. I suggest you take and soak a rag down with like a bug and tar remover and let it soak in there. And that'll get all that tar, it'll soften it all up. And if you can get all that tar off, then go through with this gutter seam sealer. It's designed for aluminum gutters. And put this down. This will last 20 years, no problem. You'll never have that corner dripping again. Now let's get into a little bit of things you can do to prevent your ice damming on the roof, especially when we have a lot of heavy snowfall, especially when we have snowfall like 6 to 8 inches, 10 inches every other night or so, like we did a few years ago. A lot of you suffered with that ice damming on the roof. I suggest installing gutter heaters in the gutters and up and down the roof. Years ago, people would talk about the cables that they had years ago, and they weren't really a good thing because they got way too hot and they would wreck your roof. They would wreck the shingles on your roof. The new cables now are all covered in polypropylene. They really have come a long way. It only heats up to around, I think I read on there like 54, 58 degrees, so it never gets extremely hot. One tip I really want to tell you about is people go up and down the roof, which is what you're supposed to do so water can run off into the gutter. Don't forget to put this cable in the gutter and that downspout. I want that cable to actually come out of the bottom of here, because when it'll come out of here, it'll keep it from freezing, keep the water from freezing, keep from the snow from turning into ice on your roof, because the water that melts during the day. Mother Nature is a very interesting lady. It could be 20 below zero outside with a wind chill of 35 or 40, but if the sunlight's out there, snow melts. So what you want to do is get that water out of the gutter and have it flow away from your home. By putting the electric heater, the gutter heater, into the gutter and dropping it down the downspout, you'll keep all that ice damming away from your roof. And you'll be a lot happier in the wintertime during the holidays. If you'd like to advertise on the Chicago History and Automotive Heaven television and radio show, you can contact me at 312-841-2560. Email me at rautomd@gmail.com. Go to our website and check out all of our stuff. We have a sponsors page on there at richiez.com. That's www.richieze.com. If you have a business, product, or a service, we can put together a package that'll help benefit your business, product, or service. Or if you just like to donate, it's a pledge drive. You can donate to our show and keep us on the air. We're actually looking for sponsors to do a lot more shows like you've seen today. I'm Richie Z. Thank you for watching. Your lawn will only look as good as this machine will let it look. What I mean by that is periodically we need to clean up the inside of the lawnmower underneath where we don't see it. But more important than that is to take the blade. In fact, I've bought an extra blade for my lawnmower because they end up getting beat up pretty bad. I could take it over and put it on a workbench or at a vise, and I could actually clean it up and sharpen it. This one we sharpened already. I'm just taking a little bit of steel wool. In fact, I'm going to be replacing this blade. I'm going to be putting this blade on this lawnmower right now. Not right now, but we're going to be putting it on. It's been sitting out on the side and got a little rusty, but the blade is perfectly sharpened, and that's real important. You could take a file, and all you really need to do is knock off any kind of real rough edges. Put it in a vise and just go at it like that. You don't want to go from the top because you'll flatten that sharp edge. So you definitely want to do from the side, nice straight motions. If you got any lumps in it, try to take the lump out. Definitely take the lump out. Don't just try, do it. What's the matter with you? And you just go the same way with this. Take some steel wool, clean it up. But you know what, let's talk a little bit more about the lawnmower itself, because this unit, if it's really bad underneath, in fact, I clean mine periodically. I've got a little bit of a buildup. But once you take and clean it out really well, scrape everything out, clean it out really well, you know what I find works well to coat it in there to prevent the grass from sticking? I use baker's spray. I take the baker's spray and just spray the inside of the cavity. That's why you're seeing very little stuff here. It's a lubricant, and it prevents the grass, especially if you cut the grass in the morning when the dew is out. You will have that grass sticking on the inside of the lawnmower. Eventually you'll have so much clumped up inside there, because grass will stick to grass, that you're not cutting properly. By sharpening your blade, cleaning it up, making it work right, instead of ripping the grass with a very dull blade, you're going to be glazing over and cutting it. It's real important, because when you rip it, it kind of tears the grass blades, and the lawn looks very poor. So you definitely want to have a sharp blade, clean up the inside of that lawnmower, and you'll get a lot better cut. One more quick piece of advice is to take and level your machine, put it on like the medium cut. You want to leave about 2 inches of grass blade up. If you cut the lawn too low, especially in the hot summer, what you're doing is you're not cutting as often then, because you're cutting it very low. But what's happening is you're not protecting your roots of your grass, and the water, when it hits, will end up going down, but not, the roots will be going up instead of growing down into the ground. They're going to be growing up to get the water. By leaving your grass blades a little bit higher, you're going to actually protect the roots and make them go down into the ground to get water and nourishment. You know what? I got to tell you a cute little story here before we sign off. We're in my backyard. My cameraman's working a couple of cameras. We got a lot of things going on here. I have this maple tree here, and the squirrels are my friends, and they're throwing acorns down at my cameraman. It's hysterical. I'm watching this today, and it's just hysterical. You know what? We have a lot of fun bringing you these shows. I really like doing them. Even the crew I have that comes out and shoots with me enjoy doing them. We get a big kick out of every time we go to do something. Something happens. I think we could write the book, Murphy's Law, but that book's already been written. You know, for the Homeland Improvements Network, for our crew here, I'd like to thank you for watching, and don't forget to check out that website, because there's about 30 tips on there that'll save you thousands of dollars, save you time, money, and aggravation. I'm Rich Sadkowski. See you next week.
It's not live. It's not from New York. It's on tape, and it's from Chicago. It's Homeland Improvement. Well, you got a problem with that? If you do, see my buddy Rich. He'll straighten you out.
If you'd like to advertise on the Chicago History and Automotive Heaven television and radio show. You can contact me at 312-841-2560. Email me at rautomd@gmail.com. Go to our website and check out all of our stuff. We have a sponsors page on there at richiez.com. That's www.richieze.com. If you have a business, product, or a service, we can put together a package that'll help benefit your business, product, or service. Or if you just like to donate, it's a pledge drive. You can donate to our show and keep us on the air. We're actually looking for sponsors to do a lot more shows like you've seen today. I'm Richie Z. Thank you for watching.